My channel. So today I have a review as well as some swatches and a demo for you guys on the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette that looks like that. So Sephora launched this I think about a week ago, and or maybe less than a week ago, but it was such a crazy launch. So many people were complaining because I guess it was supposed to go on by a certain date, and of course everybody want to get their hands on this palette, which I don't know what to say about that. I wasn't that obsessed with getting it, I'll be honest. There are other things that has launched where I'm like obsessively stalking to get it, and I would check back on Sephora, you know, maybe every hour, every 2 hours, just to see if it comes back in stock, or if they, because sometimes Sephora says it's out of stock, but it's actually not. They just have not launched it yet. So the product will be there and they would put out of stock, but it's not actually launched yet. So I kept coming back and I kept seeing comments where, or reviews where people were like, oh my God, you know, how could it be sold out? I've been watching the website all night. I didn't sleep, blah, blah. They were just going crazy, which I understand. As makeup junkies, I will definitely say that we do that sometimes. We want something, we don't want it to be sold out, because nobody wants that dreaded out of stock or sold out sign when it comes to makeup. We want it now and we don't want to wait. But anyways, I managed to purchase it. I don't even know how. I literally, as I said, came back the evening, clicked on it, it was there, I purchased it, and I literally got it the next day in the mail. So, I mean guys, I didn't get the Bonbons palette when it came out because I felt like it looked too much like a child's palette, like something I had when I was growing up, so I didn't actually commit to that palette. But I was one of those people that you see this palette and you're like, oh my God, apart from the fact that it's like nice and peachy and apparently smells like peach, which it does. I'll be honest, it has a nice, very strong peach, sweet peach smell to it. But the colors are pretty. I mean, there's some beautiful rose golds, there's some smoky shadows in here, and of course there's some neutral shadows. But if you notice that the package is, you know, ombre, and the eyeshadows inside are ombre as well. So if you notice, it goes from a nice light to deep dark smoky shades, which I like. You know, depending especially on your eyeshadow base, you can definitely smoke these shades out, or any one of these shades, and give you a nice neutral light shade makeup look, as well as a nice smoky nighttime look like what I have going on right now. So I really did enjoy looking at the palette online on Instagram. So I knew that I also wanted to get it as well. But I will say that I did have a few issues with blending out some of the matte shades when I got this palette. And of course, I set my crease down with the shade Peaches and Cream, which is the one on the bottom right there. And then I try to go in with Puree, which is this, you know, neutral shade right there, and it was just giving me like, it was so patchy. Like I literally, these mattes are not easy to blend at all. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'm not sure, because I don't think I had any issues with that. And to be honest, this semi-sweet peach this semi-sweet palette here is like the container of it right now is so dented, because I take this with me everywhere. I take both my chocolate bar palettes with me everywhere, and I've never had that issue at all. So I did find that the mattes were a little bit patchy and hard to blend, but honestly guys, the color selection in this is amazing. For one, they're not your basic, I mean, you do have your basic crease neutral shades in this, but you also have some nice smoky shades. And I actually appreciate the fact that they skipped out on doing these two bigger shadows. Ooh, two bigger shadows in the palette and giving us 2 extra shadows in this palette. So I really do like that. I think that that was a good idea, and it was cute while it was, you know, cute, but now I prefer to have that extra 2 shades in here for me to play with, which I do enjoy. I really did. Apart from the fact that I felt like the mattes were a little hard to blend, I really do enjoy that palette. I like everything about it. The package, the colors, the selection, and you know, even where Too Faced went with this palette, they could have gone with that whole continue with the chocolate series or whatever, but the fact that they went with the peach family, or just giving us like 3D makeup, something that you don't just see, but you can also smell and you can touch, and it's just like a makeup that now involves all the senses except for tasting. So I appreciate this. But if you guys want to see how these shades performed and to see this look, stay tuned for the tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, so first I'm going to take the shade Peaches in Cream, and I'm going to use that to set my eyeshadow base down. This ensures that the eyeshadows that I'm about to use in my crease blend a lot smoother, or at least that's what I wanted it to do. Next, I'm going to take Puree on a brush that is similar to the MAC 224 brush. I'll leave that information down below, but it was going on very patchy, so I thought it was the brush, so I switched it to a different brush, and as you guys could see, this was even worse. It was just applying so patchy. Even though I set it down with an eyeshadow base, which is something I do all the time, the shadow was just going on so patchy, it was just not blending out. Finally, I went for a more dense brush, packed the shade in my crease, and spent probably 5 minutes trying to blend it out. Next, I'm gonna go take that shade, and I'm going to, it's sort of like a light goldy vanilla shade, and I'm gonna use that as my brow bone highlighter. And of course, you want to go back and make sure you blend it so that the two eyeshadows kind of seamlessly go together. Next, I'm going to go in with a black base because I am going to be going for something more smoky. So I'm going to take this one by MAC. I think it's called Black Ground, but I'll leave it in the description box. So once that's on, I'm gonna pack Temptin all over the, well, not all over the lid, but on the outer parts of the lid as well as the inner parts. This is known as a sandwich method. There isn't technically a name for it, but I'm pretty much going to be going in with a lighter green on the center, so I do pack the eyeshadow on the outer as well as the inner parts of the eyes. Then that shade called Bless My Heart, I think it's called, it's just a lighter, more cocky green. I'm gonna pack that on the lid. As you guys could see, that shade is just really popping against that background, which I absolutely love. And then because I lost some intensity of the Temptin shade, which is the dark greenish cocky shade, I'm gonna go back in and I'm just going to reapply that to the outer as well as the inner parts of the eyes, which is where it usually was. Then I'm gonna go in with the MAC 221 brush, which, as you guys know, is a very small fluffy blending brush, but is not as big as their 224 brush. And I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of Temptin and use that just to blend the crease so that the eyeshadows diffuse a little bit more, just better together. I'm gonna go back in with that first shade that I used in the crease on a dense brush, and I'm just gonna use that to transition my lower lash line eyeshadows. Then I'm gonna take Talk Derby to Me and I'm pretty much going to use that on a flat definer brush, and I'm going to pack that as close to the lash line as possible, and then I'm going to use Delectable, which is that purple shade, and pretty much blend that darker shade out and make sure that it's really nice and blended. And then what I like to do, because I want this look to be smoky, is to go back in with that darker purple shade and just press it right against my lash line again. So next I'm going to go in with that shade called Summer Yum. It's just a deeper shade from the one that we used in the crease originally. And this is just going to help the transition of the crease shade as well as my lid shade to go a little bit more smoother. So I'm just going to use it on that same 221 brush just to diffuse the shade, transition the shades, I should say, a little bit better. I wanted a pop of color, so I went with the purple. Not the best purple eyeliner, but it worked for what I wanted it for. Anyways, I'm gonna use a light peachy shade. That one was called Bellini, and I'm gonna use that on the inner parts of my eyes just to bring some light into this look. And I actually topped it off with that vanilla shade that we actually used on the brow bone just to make it that much brighter. And that completes the look, guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for all your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.